As a new face in the horror YouTube scene, I've gotten pretty used to not being the first to discover things. Whenever a new horror project comes out, I tend to hear about it from someone else first. That's the issue with watching so many horror creators and being a part of so many horror subreddits. You realize there are a lot of people out there, and usually, a lot of them know more than you. I'm here to tell you two things. The first is that it doesn't matter. Being the first to find a horror project, I mean. Horror fans can sometimes fall into that gatekeepy, I got here first and that makes this mine sort of mindset, and it's really unhealthy for the community. Real horror fans are excited when a good project comes out, and they want to share that with others. In my own personal friend group, I'm the only one who really pays attention to horror, and every time I find something new, I'm desperate to talk to someone about it. That's kind of why this channel exists in the first place. I'd like to introduce people to horror I love and talk about it with people who've already been introduced. You don't need to be first, you just need to be there. The second thing I'm here to tell you is that I'm a hypocrite, and for once in my life, I've been granted the opportunity to share some actually new horror that I'm fairly confident most people are unfamiliar with. Since starting this channel, I've been lucky enough to have 3 separate indie horror creators reach out and share their games with me. Each time was so exciting, and since receiving them, I've been trying to figure out a way to fit them into a video. I tend to focus on thematic elements of horror in my videos, covering a number of works that all tie into the same horrifying topic, like abandonment or liminality, but these games are all pretty different in their presentation, different enough that I'd have a hard time looping them all in under the same category. So, here's the plan. This video will mark the first episode in a new series for the channel where I discuss horror projects that were sent to me directly by members of this community. Obviously, this series will likely be slow to start, since it really does rely on contributions from you, the viewer, but I've always been a huge fan of supporting new creators as they grow, because I've been lucky enough to get some awesome support with my own channel over the past couple months. So, Boneheads, welcome to the first episode of Nightshares, the spookiest show and tell you've ever seen. Buckle up! How do you mourn? Do you isolate yourself? Do you fight? Run? Cry? I Did Not Buy This Ticket is a short psychological horror story game published by Time Galleon. It was sent to me by the developer, Tiago, and we were able to have a really great discussion about the game and its inspiration on Instagram. He also connected me with Lirio Ninotchka, the primary artist behind the game, whose name I likely butchered just now, and through those conversations, I was able to get some really super interesting insight into the thought and detail behind the experience. In I Did Not Buy This Ticket, you play as Candelaria, a professional mourner, or what they call in Portugal, a carpidera. Your character is someone who gets paid to mourn at funerals for people she's never met. If that sounds unsettling or strange, you're correct, and the atmosphere of the game backs this up. The artist told me that some of their primary inspiration for the game's design came from David Lynch surrealism, and as this game progresses, that influence is very clear. Tiago also mentioned an interest in capturing an atmosphere similar to the Silent Hill games. Both of these combine to create a captivatingly strange atmosphere, all centered around a career that exists as an actual thing in real life. Sometimes someone dies and there aren't enough people who know or cared about them to be present at their funeral. An empty funeral is more depressing than a full one, and thus, mourning becomes a profession. There is an exhausted quality to your character, a muted pain that follows you from funeral to funeral. A weight behind the words you speak that implies a history with death or loss, not just as your job. You can't sleep. It's a product of something. The only time your character is able to find solace is on the bus rides between funerals, something about the liminal setting lulling you into sleep. It's a lot harder to sleep on the Eigengrau, though. The Eigengrau is a strange bus that begins appearing in between Candelaria's funeral jobs. Fun fact, the word Eigengrau actually refers to the color we see when we close our eyes in perfect darkness, and the palette of the game exists in this color. Ninotchka was super thoughtful in the design of the game, and you can really tell once you step on the bus. You have a ticket. You didn't buy it. You take the ride anyway. On the bus, you go on to encounter a number of strange characters, all of which question and pester you with different requests and perspectives, some of them strangely familiar, others grotesquely not. I personally love the bus driver, the kind of character who you're certain knows more than he's letting on, and yet who still seems benevolent, kind even. Over the course of several bus rides, you learn more about Candelaria and are able to make choices about her history which help explain how she got to being the person she is. There's a surprising amount of choice in this game, not just dialogue options, but a few crucial moments that have actual consequences. I won't spoil the end of the game, because Encountering it on your own is a very special experience, but I will say that there's a strange feeling that overtakes you when you make your final decision, an almost mournful sensation that feels directly personal. The ending is yours, and what it means is up to you. The game was so exciting to experience for the first time, not just because it was the first game I was ever sent as a result of my YouTube channel, but also because I got to experience something truly unexpected that, realistically, I likely wouldn't have found on my own. I have to give one more huge shout out to Tiago and Lirio, as well as the whole team at Time Galleon for allowing me the opportunity to experience this strange, unsettling story of I did not buy this ticket. Have you ever taken one of those personality quizzes on BuzzFeed? Answer these 5 questions about tacos and we'll tell you which dictator your dog resembles. Well, this is Fuzzbee, and it's a different thing. Be Honest is a personality quiz-based horror game produced by Tiny Mask Games and developed and sent to me by Ezra Santon. Again, I probably butchered that. I played through this game a few times. The question of, what kind of toy are you, is strange enough to actually pique my curiosity, and the answers you can get makes you curious about what the other options are. By the way, I'm one of those foam missile launchers that you can jump on to fire, and I'm aimed directly at your little brother's eye. That's not what I got on the quiz, that's just my personal truth. Unfortunately, when the quiz ends, your results likely aren't exactly what you were expecting. I've talked before about my love for fiction that manages to include its audience as a character in the story, and that's exactly what this game does. In his initial email to me, Ezra noted that he was trying to make the computer screen an invisible fourth wall, bringing you, the quiz taker, directly into the game. You may have noticed in the footage these eerie advertisements next to each question. Don't worry, I tried clicking them and nothing happened. They're a part of the game. As you answer each initial question, things seem normal, but slowly, you might notice a running theme in the advertisements, an increasing strangeness to the questions asked, a warping of audio and visual components, owls, and finally, an undeniably malevolent entity who seems to be evaluating you for something. Be Honest is a really short play, but it's worth it. For one thing, it's free to play, but I'd throw a couple of bucks the developer's way if you give it a shot. As a proof of concept, there's a lot of fun stuff here, and the best way to see something like this go further is to support the creator. In 2019, the team at Deadly Crow Games released the first-person horror experience, Escape the Ioki. The Ioki is, and you're not going to believe this, a fictional monster based off of Michael Jackson. Its name, El Eni Ioki, is a play on Annie Are You Okay from Jackson's song Smooth Criminal. Why is Michael Jackson the antagonist of this game? I have no idea. In 2022, though, the team produced a demake of the experience called, unsurprisingly, Escape the Ioki Demake, following the same story and gameplay experience, but now in the third person with fixed angle shots a la early Resident Evil or Silent Hill. And finally, in 2024, Deadly Crow sent me a copy of their game. It's a pretty great experience. The voice acting is surprisingly emotive for such a non-expressive character. The style of the game is super nostalgic, and the Ioki, when he's not making Michael Jackson noises, is a threatening antagonist. Escape the Ioki is one of those games where the antagonist is always looking for you. When the Ioki breaks down a door, you get a shot of him doing it, and that shot helps inform you how far away the creature is from your current location and whether or not you need to start running. As you go from room to room, picking up items, solving puzzles, and holding rats, you're always aware that the Ioki is getting closer and closer. And when the Ioki reaches you, that's it. Why is he Michael Jackson? So, this has been the first episode of Nightshares. Have you played any of these games before? What did you think? If you haven't, why not give them a shot? All of the games I talked about will be linked in the description below this video, and even if they didn't seem up your alley, I'd really love it if you gave them a chance. It takes a lot of work to make a game like this, and a lot of confidence to share it with others. Quality horror is few and far between, and it'll continue to be unless we support new artists and creators. If you like this video and are interested in seeing more from this series, please let me know, because it was a fun change of pace to work on. The best way you can support this series is by sharing more of your horror works with me. It doesn't have to be just games. Movies, books, art, any of it could end up in the series if you send it my way. Anyway, this has been Nightshares, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for subscribing to the channel, and please consider becoming a member to join our Discord and continue these great conversations. I'll see you next time, guys.